Hey, Sav.
Hey Shay, and bonjour, brand connoisseurs. Welcome to the Art of Branding podcast on the Team SDG podcast network. So, Shay, rate your day with minimal context.
I'm giving it a 9 today.
Wow, that's really, really special, girly.
Might have something to do with who's sitting next to me.
I mean, we'll get to that in a moment, but
What
geez
about you?
Louise. I would say a 8.3.
Fair. I'll take it.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, without further ado, let's address the elephant in the room.
The none other than the Barry G. The elephant in the room today is the secrets of the first gen.
Yes, working with your father, working with your daughter. So let's introduce this guy.
Here he is.
Hi.
Hey,
Here I
Bear.
am.
All right. So our president, my father, one of the founders of the company, and been doing this for, I won't age you, but for a very long time.
36 years.
He'll
We
age
want
himself.
we want to
Yeah.
roll it back a little bit and we've talked about you a lot in the podcast. We've talked about, your influence in the company. So I think everyone's really excited to hear your perspective. But before we go into SCG, let's roll it back to Baby Bear and talk about your journey into corporate America and ultimately your entrepreneur journey.
Well, I mean, I was always in sales, so I always liked selling because I knew that I wasn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I figured the only way I could make a decent living was to be able to sell something. And I tried a lot of different things. I sold real estate. I sold air freshener to dumpsters. I sold car waxing services.
I'm going to learn new things
I sold
here.
a lot of different things. And the commercial real estate was kind of a tough thing because, it was big highs and long walls. So I really didn't enjoy that. And then when my brother was doing selling promotional products from his bedroom, I figured, you know what? It seems like everybody seems to like these kind of things. So that's when we opened up an office and started to, become a real company.
Nice. So what would you say that looked like for you in terms of figuring out how you wanted to build it? Like, I know you were the sales guy, and I already talked about this. You were the guy who was always in charge of, making the sales, but what did it look like starting something from scratch?
So that's kind of funny you asked because we got desks, we got phones, we got filing cabinets, and it's got the office, and we sat there waiting for the phone to ring. And then when I realized that wasn't going to work, I had to get my ass out and sell. That was when we really realized that there was a great opportunity to sell to a lot of different places. If you're a shoe salesman, you can always sell shoes. If you're a car salesman, you can always sell cars. We had an opportunity to sell so many different things that it was intriguing. It was exciting. And one of the first calls I went on to of a supplier back in the day, it was about putting up calendars.
Yeah.
And if you put a calendar up and you got the right calendar in the right place, you would have your name in front of somebody for a year. So they always did the cost effective about putting up calendars. So that was pretty cool. And I realized that at that time that, calendars were good, but if you put some other things with your name on it in front of people, it was good as well.
Absolutely. So when you first got started doing this, were you all in from the beginning, or were you moonlighting promotional products while you were, still doing commercial real estate?
No, I went all in.
Wow.
We got an office, we had a phone, we had an address, we had a website. I don't even think we had a website back then, but
This is before the website. So you burnt the ships.
Yeah, we were able to go out and earn business. It wasn't anything that was given. I'll never forget when later years I went to the cruise lines and a guy told me that at the cruise lines, he says, I own these cruise lines. Nobody sells to you. And I'm like, okay.
You said, I'm Barry Greenberger. Nice to meet you.
I didn't say that, but I know about 3 years later, he said, I was doing really good here until those 3 letters showed up. So
what would you say that, you have this personality and it's very magnetic, and anyone who literally can't go anywhere without him knowing somebody. I mean, you've seen that.
Oh, no, that's why.
No, Bear, it's not that.
But what did that look like for you going after something that is, considered impossible to so many people, and you just went in and said, why not me?
I just never thought I was the person I always wanted to lead. I always wanted to be a leader. I never thought I'd be the person to work for somebody and not like what I did. And this was exciting. This was something that was different. like I said before, being able to sell just about anything to anybody was a pretty cool thing.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. What point did it become a thing? Like, I mean, obviously you're starting it with your brothers. So what point does it become an actual family business? And there's all the other family dynamics, thrown in. So obviously the wives come in and your mom and your
one
dad.
Of the rules was the wives couldn't come in.
Yeah, that didn't last long.
That didn't last long.
Yeah, how long was that rule instated?
It got to a point where we really decided we want to grow, and then we moved into a bigger space, and we opened up the offices. The wives came in, and that's when we really became a real company. That's when I really felt like an owner of a company.
When the women joined.
Yeah, because
okay.
they
just wanted to clarify.
No, it's true. I mean, your mom, she made it like we were owners, and we were treated like owners. Where before, I just felt like, listen, I had to sell as much as I could, collect as much as I could, and get to the next week.
Yeah.
But when we moved into the bigger space, it became and that bigger space is a joke compared to the space we have now. But
is that the building that I first came into?
No, that was.
Oh, it was the one before that. Okay.
Yeah, we had one of my friends, a friend of mine, built the whole upstairs of a warehouse building for us. It was a 100,000 square foot warehouse, and we had the whole top floor. And our warehouse was like, he was in the cleaning business, the chemicals. And so he had different bathrooms and stuff set up. Well, those were different sections we used as warehousing. So it's come, God knows how far it's come.
I remember that building. It was crazy. But I think
that's where you wrote your little letter.
Yeah. I
tell him about the letter, Bear. Tell him about the letter.
This is not my episode.
Let him be. Let him cook.
We had a customer appreciation day where we had some of our suppliers come in, our best suppliers.
First of all, how old am I? Set the stage.
She was 8.
Okay, so there shouldn't be high expectations here.
Right, so she was 8, and we had all of our customers come in, and she wrote a really cute letter afterwards to all the employees, and it said that, we are all very proud of you. My uncles couldn't be prouder everybody said great things about you guys, and if I were the boss, I'd give you all a raise. And this is at 8 years old, and I guess she manifested it because she's
always for the people.
She's definitely the boss. And you know what? It's cool because you have to have an employee's mentality in order to have people want to be here. I always had an employee's mentality, and David and I were like the yin and the yang, so it worked out well because he always had the business mentality and always had the back end, where I was always about the relationships, not just with the employees, but with the suppliers and with the customers. I always felt like I was a people person, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So by the time I go off to college and all the things, you're probably sitting at like 20 something employees, give or take.
Not that many, probably 16, 17,
somewhere
around there.
But it was a pretty, it was
right. Everybody was in
pretty
house.
Robust organization.
And it wasn't just family at that point.
No.
It was probably 6 family members, and the rest were, people that we take into our family. We consider them family. If you work here, you can't not be a family member.
You can't leave.
Work that way.
Okay, so I'm putting it together from my view as well. But by the time I enter at this point, it's an established business. We had some technology problems that you guys were trying to overcome, but you had reached a growth capacity.
We couldn't push any more paper. We were at the point where we had no more capacity.
Well, your relationships had really started to take off, and you always said, this is something that stuck in my head, but your biggest customer yesterday was not your biggest customer tomorrow. So by the time, this is where I think it gets really interesting for everybody, because I want them to hear from your chair what it was like to have, an established company. You guys are doing really well. And now, you told me before I even came in that we need to get younger. You knew we were having technology problems. So what was it like for you, for your kids to enter the business? And, obviously you're going to, say all the nice things about how great it was, how positive it was, but
give us the tea, Bear.
Really, what was that like for you? Because I know that I wasn't easy on you. So
I was really nervous because, first of all, when you work for yourself, you never know when you work enough. You don't know. There was a lot of people at that time when you came in. We had 20 people work there, and I felt very responsible for each and every one of them. That we had to survive, and we had to strive to make sure that we were able to make them get paid every single week, no matter how much we sold. So when having you come in and knowing that you were going to be dependent on this salary as well, it was a little bit nervous. But by the same token, I think when you came in, we decided we were done with this paper thing. And we decided that's when we joined Facilis. And because I don't think you would have come in and been able to work in the paper hell that we were in.
No, I think
we had a cart that that's how I knew how the company was doing. I could go in, if the cart was full of paper, I knew we were busy. And if it wasn't full, I'm like, oh, the cart's sick. So yeah, it was a big change.
I don't think I would have done well.
It was a big change, but it was a great change. It was flattering that they wanted us to be part of their organization and that our cultures aligned. And it was it was like a perfect storm. You guys coming in at that time and us going to this software system and being part of a much bigger picture than we were. It was the right time.
Yeah. So what point do you feel like, me and you got our rhythm? Because we sold together for a little bit when I first got started. That was fun. Hot take, I told you guys this, but I sold a little bit in college. And my dad came up to visit me one time at college, and we actually went on sales calls together.
Cold calls.
Nothing like father-daughter bonding.
Back in the day, people did cold calls. It was crazy.
That was like our first time actually doing that together, though.
Yeah, because I really didn't want you working at a bar and working at night.
It made me quit my restaurant job.
I worked at a bar.
She did too. I hated it, And
that's fair.
I figured let her try it. See, these people are buying the things we're selling. She's right there anyhow. That's the one thing. It's crazy. Somebody told me if you ask somebody to go into their purse, how many promotional products they'll pull out of their purse, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. To me, to watch a grown man die for a $3 t-shirt is incredible.
At a sports game, he used to tell me this all the time.
Event, you see people die for a $3 t-shirt.
No, you're going on cold calls with Shay, father-daughter bonding at its finest. At what point do you realize, like, hey, I think that my daughter could actually, not only do this for a living, but maybe step into my shoes one day?
So it wasn't right away, honestly. I had an assistant that I had for 17 years, and she said whenever Shayna took over, she was going to be gone. And she was.
Yeah, that was mean.
She was. But when Shayna first came in, she was really good at sales. She had the personality. We went on one call, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, between our youth and longevity, no, what is it? Our longevity.
He said he'll never forget.
Right, I forgot. But something to the effect.
Our youth and creativity paired with our longevity and our experience.
Right.
You get it all.
You get it all with our company, and that was the first. And this was an account that I got to tell you that I really coveted because we did these beautiful business cards for them. And that's all we did was business cards. Well, within a year, she turned them into probably our fourth or fifth biggest account. And we got way more than the business card orders that I got.
We don't do business cards anymore.
And then she really, when I realized that I think that she could take over was when she said to me, she said, Dad, I could sell $1 million again, or I could teach people how to sell $1 million. And that's when I knew that she's going to be just what this company needed. I said all along that our industry had to get younger. I mean, there were a bunch of trunk slammers. There was a bunch of, people old people that went to these trade shows with carts to just fill up things, just to get things for free. And even people in our industry, they love things for free also. But the real revolution came when COVID hit, and we just about lost everything. So that's really when we needed to figure out what we were going to do.
Reinvent.
That was the fear that I had when she came into the company, when her and Josh came into the company, because I was afraid that if anything could happen, it would affect not just me and my family, it would affect everybody and their family. So that was pretty much the revolution, I think, is when that happened. And actually, she said, I want to hire this girl. And I'm like, Shayna, you got to be nuts. We're in the middle of COVID. We've lost our biggest customers. She goes, yeah, Dad, but this girl is special. And
oh my gosh, Bear.
So
I'm going to cry.
That's where I thought she started to become a leader. When she looked at she looked at the situation we were in, and it wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't great for most people. And she says, how can we be, how can we do better? What can we do to be better?
Absolutely. I mean, she has great instincts. So she gets into more of a leadership role.
At that point, I think I just stepped out of sales and
Exactly.
went into.
Well, you were technically our VP of Ops at the time.
We won't talk about that.
So
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Neither here nor there.
Well, I think that's actually an interesting point because I didn't really have my lane yet. Like I knew I wanted to be in leadership, but my dad was still so heavily involved in what he was doing. So I guess I always knew that I wanted to follow in his footsteps, but he wasn't ready for me to take a big role that would kind of lead to that path. So I went in the other direction almost in operations and said, okay, well, while he's still kind of super involved, let me get out of, I guess, the trenches and go work on our back end and work on developing our people and, the operation of our company. So I think that that's maybe where that was born. And then, fast forward to where we are today, we know much different now.
Well, exactly. So then this all happens. You kind of rearrange the players a little bit, and we get to a place where, in the pandemic, we end up rising from the ashes like a phoenix. And I mean, speak to that level of hyper growth that we had this huge setback of losing our largest clients, of, being involved in a pandemic where everybody's marketing budgets are frozen and all these things. And it seemed like an absolute like setback, because it was. And then we actually end up like slingshotting forward into this hyper growth period. What, like, from your chair, how was that, evolution in its own?
It was scary at first, to take this leap of faith, with not only hiring you, but all the other things we did. We rebranded, we refocused on what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, who we were going to do it with. I mean, it was.
And that's the same year that Brian and Justin came into.
It was frightening because I had not only my brothers, my kids. Now I have their spouses. So it was scary, but it was also encouraging to know that there was somebody working on the other end. I remember when Shayna first came in, I really at first wished she would have gone to work somewhere else. Josh got a lot of experience in corporate America, which really helped him a lot. But when she came, I really wished that she had gone somewhere else first, but she found a way to earn her own respect. We have a salesman that said, you know what, she's incredible. And it wasn't because I said it. She wasn't accepted because it was Barry's daughter or David's niece or anything like that. She was accepted for what she did. She proved that she could sell $1 million without a whole lot of, I mean, it was an effort. No, I'm not going to say it wasn't a lot of effort, but I mean, you would have continued on that path and grown that business exponentially. So it was hard, but it was exciting at the same time, and nervous for sure, because we didn't know where this thing was going.
Yeah. What about for you? Like I guess, I talked about how for a lot of companies, the actual transition from you being in your chair to me being in your chair is where a lot of companies don't make it through, because, no one can decide on when it's the right time, when it's not the right time. So I really felt like for me and you, I mean, we've always had an incredibly close relationship, and I think you've always just been my biggest cheerleader. But what did that look like for you in deciding that you thought it was time for you to step out of the CEO chair and me to step in?
Well, I think it was the plan all along, actually, in my mind, that was going to happen. When we started to get so much younger, and it was so exciting and invigorating to work with these people and with all of you, it was fun. I mean, it was something that most companies weren't and aren't able to do, and we were able to do it because of the two of you, and it was exciting. It's really, and you can't argue with success. I mean, let's face it, you guys have been super successful with all the things that you've done. I mean, you've had roadblocks, you've had bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding, and you guys have really, knocked it out of the park. So you can't mess with success. And, I feel like you guys are the talk of the town, and I'm just proud to still be getting a paycheck. And I'm proud to still be, the president of the company. But it's so cool to work with all of you. And how many people are here now?
51.
51?
51.
So.
But was it hard for you to make the decision? Like to say, okay, now it's time?
It was hard for me to step back and not be the one that was in control of CMFIC.
You're always the CMFIC.
So
What's CMFIC for those who don't know?
About that.
Chief Mother Effer in charge.
So she said, I'm always going to be your CMFIC.
You're always a CMFIC.
Absolutely,
but like,
Bear.
I guess that would be like such a surreal moment, you know, when I think about it, of like actually making the decision and say, okay, you know, you have the trust in me at this point that I'm always going to do what I think is right, not only for the company, but for the family as well. And I'm always going to be able to lean on you for the guidance and mentorship. But like the decision to say, okay, it's time, had to be a hard one for you.
Well, yeah, but you accepted the culture, you lived the culture, you've seen how we grew, you saw, you know, the way we treated people. That all was installed in you. You had all those qualities all along. To step aside, I felt that everybody would perceive things coming better from you. This younger generation. I mean, let's face it. When I was selling, I had to find the nicest, newest thing, and then I had to take it, and I had to be the first guy there to the customer. Okay, you guys have a whole different way of doing business. The people that are buying from us aren't the same people that were buying when I was selling. I think that it's an incredible transition, and I couldn't be at the same time. You know, I'm giving up my CEO chair, but I'm giving up my CEO chair to my daughter, who's succeeding me. And quite frankly, I mean, she's not going to think, but I think she already is, and will continue to be a better leader than I was.
I don't know about that.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Heartfelt.
I wasn't expecting this, but geez, we're getting choked up over here.
I think that that's why we've been able to have a lot of the success that we've had, because there is no animosity. There is no resentment. There is nothing other than like pure love. And also, you know, he's rooting for us. He's wants us to succeed and do more than he ever did. And I think that that plays a huge part in the fact that, like, from our chair, we will die before we disappoint him at this point, you know?
You don't want to disappoint Barry Greenberger. That's for sure.
That's okay. You guys.
It's not something that we're willing to do.
No.
I couldn't be prouder of this whole company. And, you know, I had a lot of great mentors. I mean, I stole a lot of things from customers that I asked, you know, that were much bigger companies than I was. And I learned from so many people. And I feel like you guys do the same thing. And the sky's the limit for this group. I'm just so proud of both of you and to be a part of this company.
So if you're going to talk to someone who is thinking about starting the journey that you started 36 years ago at this point, what's like the biggest piece of advice or your secret to your success, would you say?
Do the right thing all the time. Always do the right thing. Don't do it on Mondays and Wednesdays. Always do the right thing by your customers. And we've made it very hard for people to want to break up with us. Once they became a customer, we've done everything we can to make it so that they never want to go anywhere else. And it's creating the wall of preference, making it so that you're the one that they depend on.
He had a quote that will always stick with me, but it says, "Make good business." And it's just exactly what you would think. Like, just do the right thing. Everyone could win if you make good business.
It just keeps getting better. I mean, you walk around here and it's invigorating. It really is. I love coming here. I love leaving and going and playing with my grandkids. But I do love coming here, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. Every one of you has a special place in my heart. Even the people that you've hired that, you know, that I don't know, like I know the ones that are here all the time. But it's an incredible journey that we're on, and I'm excited about our holiday party. It's going to be the biggest and best yet.
I would agree.
And I feel like, you know, you guys amaze me every month. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible where you're at and how you continue to grow. And I'm cool with seeing the aces in their places.
Heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah.
Well, thanks, Dad. I know that we brought you out of your comfort zone. He's such an introvert. He absolutely was terrified to do this podcast.
He's very shy.
He showed up in a suit this morning.
That's why I used to tell people I give things away. They go, "Wow, this is nice. You're giving things away." I go, "Really, I'm shy, and it gets me over the edge."
It's so not true. But no, thank you so much. I think everyone's going to be super excited to hear from you. It is my
we'll
honor.
Have to do a lot of editing, but we'll get
I don't think so. I think
so.
you'll be shocked, pleasantly surprised, Bear.
Anyhow, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. We'll have you on for many more, and thank you for being so open with everyone. I think that's it.
Well, Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow along, comment your favorite part of this podcast, and we will see you next Monday. Au revoir for any connoisseurs. I'm forgetting my French there. Have a
Bye,
great
everyone.
day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.